As I sat with your comments, which at this point there are several hundreds of them, I started asking myself if I could sit down with each one of these people over a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, what exactly would I want them to know? And based on your questions and your comments, you don't want to know how to write a better resume. You don't want to know how to look for a job. You don't want to know how to answer interview questions. That is not the priority, right? We're dealing with the emotional aspect of this. And yes, all of those things that I just mentioned, they matter, but they come later. The questions that I feel people have or want answers to are the ones that have been through any unexpected life transition, not just job loss. But before we begin, I want to remind you of who you are. Because when you've experienced rejection, when you've experienced loss or an unexpected life change, it's so easy to forget our own value. So today, I want to share 7 things that I wish someone had sat down with me and told me the day that I lost my job. Not just the first time, but the second time. And I'm here to say I don't have all the answers. I can assure you of that. But these are things, little reminders that I keep coming back to, and I'm sharing them with the hopes that they encourage you too. So the first one that I want to share is please don't count yourself out before someone else has had the chance to say yes. One of the comments I keep seeing is, I'm too old, ageism is real, no one wants to hire anyone after 50. To that I say, please don't make the hiring decision before the employer has had the opportunity to do so. Don't allow your own fear to convince you that you've already been rejected, because you have no idea what companies are looking for. They may be looking for someone with your experience, with your work ethic, with your wisdom and your perspective. So go ahead and apply. Show up. Give yourself the chance. Please don't let fear say no on someone else's behalf. The first thing is to give yourself permission to keep showing up. I say this all the time. And that showing up, it leads me to something else I think so many of us really struggle with. We start believing that our job title determines our value. It doesn't. And that leads me to number 2, which is please, please, please stop measuring your worth by your job title. One thing that I have personally learned through this journey is that it's too easy to tie our identity to what we do. I am very guilty of this, and I share this in my video that I created a year ago about my job loss. This crippled me after my first layoff from the same company. When someone asks us, what do? We usually answer with what? We answer with our job title. But what happens when that title suddenly disappears? Here's what I have learned through both times. That a company can eliminate a position, but what it cannot do is eliminate your value. Your job was something you did. It was never who you were. Never confuse the two. Once we stop, tying our worth to a job title, something else starts to happen. We feel this pressure to have every single answer immediately. It's the anxiety, it's the unknown. We want to know exactly what's next, but we have no control over it. But what if we gave ourselves permission to simply take the next step instead? You are worth the risk. You are worth taking a chance. I want you to bet on yourself. At least that's the season that I'm living in at the current moment. And this brings me to number 3. You don't have to have the whole plan. One of the biggest sources of anxiety is feeling like we have to figure everything out immediately. And the truth is, you don't. You don't. Maybe today your only job is to take that one next step. Not to take the next 10, one application, one phone call, one conversation, one walk for mental health, one prayer, one small act of courage. Small steps, however small they are, they still move you forward. And while you're taking those small steps, I want to encourage you to please don't stop growing. Don't stop growing just because we're in our 50s. One of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself during a season of uncertainty, like being laid off, a divorce, is you need to keep learning. And number 4 for me is exactly that. Keep learning, even when and especially when life feels uncertain. One of the best things that I have done during this crazy season is I continue to learn. I continue to grow. I am using this time to rest because I have to, but to also expand my knowledge. I'm growing my YouTube channel. I'm learning new skills constantly because learning keeps your mind open. It builds confidence and it reminds you that growth doesn't stop because you turn 50, because you turn 55, or even 60. It doesn't matter. Stay curious. You never know where one new skill might lead you. The more you put yourself out there, sorry to say it, but the more likely you will hear the word no. And I know how much that can hurt. I do. But here's what I've learned about rejection. Don't let it become your identity. And this is my number 5. Yes, rejection is very painful. It's a big sting. Whether it's a job, an interview, or an opportunity that you were super excited about, I get it. I understand. I'm living it. And I want you to feel the disappointment. I want you to process it. I want you to sit with it for a day or two. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to allow that one no to define who you are. Rejection is an event. It's a moment. It is not your identity. Sometimes a closed door is simply just redirecting you toward one that's a better fit because what is for you will not pass you. And once we stop allowing rejection to define us, we begin to see life very differently. We start asking ourselves an important question. What kind of life do I actually want moving forward? What I want. For me, I always go back to my one core value. And this one is big for me. I want to protect my peace. This number 6 is a non-negotiable for me. I flat out refuse to compromise on this one, on my peace. As I look back, I realized that there were so many moments when I had normalized stress. I had normalized anxiety. I had accepted that feeling overwhelmed every single day was just part of the job. It shouldn't be. No job is worth sacrificing your peace of mind. Personally, as I move into this next chapter, protecting my personal peace, that is one of my highest priorities. And I really hope that you'll protect yours too. And protecting my peace has led me to 7, which is my final realization. I have plenty more, but these are my top 7. That maybe my next chapter isn't supposed to look anything like my last one. And maybe that's exactly the point. Oftentimes we become so focused on getting our old life back that we miss the opportunity to create something even better. We're used to consistency and complacency and the routine. Maybe your next opportunity is not a corporate job. Maybe it's consulting. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's a completely different career. Or maybe it's something you haven't even imagined yet. Yes, the possibilities are endless. I want you to stay open. Life has such a funny way of introducing us to all kinds of opportunities that we never would have found if we had stayed where we were. Excuse me. Sometimes our greatest moments is willing to embrace something new. If there's one thing that I hope you take away from this conversation today, it's this. Please don't let one season convince you the rest of your story has already been written. It hasn't. You're just getting started. And whether that's looking for a new job, starting over, facing retirement, navigating divorce, an empty nest, or any unexpected change that life has placed in front of you, I want you to remember this. Your circumstances may have changed, but your value has not. You don't have to have everything figured out today. I want you to take a long, deep breath. You don't have to know what the next year looks like. You just have to keep taking that next small step, one step at a time. Because one small step repeated over time, it has such a strong power to completely change the direction of all of our lives. And before we end today's conversation, I want to leave you with one more thought. Bet on yourself. Bet on your experience. Bet on your resilience. Bet on everything you've learned over the years. Because if you don't believe in what you bring to the table, it's hard to expect someone else to. It's hard for someone else to see your value. You have gifts. You have wisdom. You have experience that cannot be taught. Don't minimize that. And please, whatever you do, do not apologize for it. Don't hide it. I want you to speak confidently about who you are. Own your accomplishments. Celebrate your growth. You have earned every single chapter of your story. And if no one has reminded you lately, you are worth the investment. You are worth the opportunity. You are worth believing in. Take up space. Have a seat at that table. Walk into your next interview, your next opportunity, your next chapter, knowing exactly what you bring to the table. And it's not from a place of arrogance. It's not from a place of, know-it-all. It comes from a place of confidence. Because confidence to me says, I know my value and I'm not afraid to share it. I'm 56 years old. I have 5 decades of experience and value. And lastly, if no one has told you this lately, I believe in you. More importantly, I hope you continue to believe in yourself. And something else I want you to consider. I want you to consider leaving a comment because I would love to hear from you. Which one of these 7 reminders spoke to you the most? Which one of these, really pulled at you, or something that you want to start implementing? Or is there something you have learned during a difficult season that might encourage someone else who's reading the comments? Share your experiences. I truly believe in my whole heart that this community is becoming, it's so much more than just a YouTube channel. It's becoming a place where people can feel seen, feel encouraged, and reminded that they're not walking through life's unexpected seasons alone. You're not alone. So if today's conversation encouraged you, would you do me a huge favor? Would you give this video a like? Because YouTube shares it with more people who may need this message, but I need your like to be able to do that. And also, please leave a comment because your story could be exactly what someone else needs to read today. And if you're new here, welcome. I'd love to invite you to subscribe because here on Life with Lissette, we are having honest conversations about navigating life after 50, about embracing change, prioritizing our health, and finding hope through every unexpected season. Thank you so, so much for spending part of your day with me. I truly appreciate every single one of you. Take care of yourself, keep showing up, and keep believing that your best chapters may still be ahead. Don't minimize yourself. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until the next one, adios.